Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast. All three of us.
Yes.
Got us all,
Kathy
one
Mark.
pod.
Yeah.
It's a rarity nowadays.
I know
It's
we're
so
all so
hard.
busy.
Busy, injured, sick, you name it.
Going to jail.
have it
all these
all.
things that we have going on in our lives. All of my legal problems, my court appearances. Yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming.
Probation's hard.
In and out of the country. I mean, my gosh, it's crazy, like what you have to do. But God willing, you're still here.
And in the meantime, we had to all join up because this is huge.
Yes.
We have another Cronenberg in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, similar, like his stuff is always about like these weird things creeping through your genetics and whatever. whatever David Cronenberg had in his creepy genetics is passed along to his son in a sort of a body horror way.
And I'm so glad that he has a child who's going to continue the tradition, because I was like, what's going to happen to Cronenberg's gone? He's so unique. He's his own genre, like Cronenberg body horror. I was going to be
say
bummed.
Gone quite yet. He's
but I'm just saying he won't last forever, and it's nice to know there's a younger one coming up in the current.
Yeah, and if you've seen Brandon Croneneberg's latest film Possessor, which came out in 2020, it's very in that Cronenberg universe. It has all that stuff we just talked about, body horror and just weird off. Canadian vibe. It's just an interesting thing. And Infinity Pool is his new film that's opening January 27th, and it stars Mia Goth from X and Pearl fame. And
she's becoming a thing now. Big horror screen queen.
She's becoming a thing. Alexander Skarsgård is always good. And Cronenberg wrote and directed it, so it's his thing. Okay. And it looks, I'm excited to see the trailer. Again, it's called Infinity Pool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's take a look.
Everybody ready to see this crazy thing?
Yeah.
I am.
All right. Here we go.
Action.
I don't understand why we're doing this. We barely know these people.
It's one day to mix things up a bit.
Hi! You're just happy you found your fan club. I've been waiting 6 years for your second book. Is it coming out soon?
I'm working on it.
What do you do for money then?
You married rich.
I actually came here looking for inspiration. Come on.
Oh shit.
Wait.
Classic setup.
Yeah.
Mr. James Foster, you'll have to come with us.
Now, what are you gonna do?
Fuck.
Here, the punishment for any crime committed is death.
What did you say?
Wow.
But for a significant sum, we'll build a double to send in for your execution.
That's genius.
Oh.
It looks just like me.
Maybe think of it as a gift. It's like a new skin working into place. It's for you to complete your transformation.
This is just a little game.
But I can take some blood. Show me how strong you are. It's really disgusting. You could just sit there and watch it happen.
James, do you worry they got the wrong man?
Whoa. I love that because there's kind of an analog quality to his films. They feel like everything's practical. Like so I love that. And in Possessor, they had all those scenes of kind of like those kind of wax dummies kind of melting and they sort of had a little bit of that in this. Like, I'm wondering if that's like one of his trademark, like things he's fascinated by, or is it something that he is bringing through, like as a go through all of his films? You know, Mark's back.
I'm back.
Where is he? Where's Mark?
Yeah.
But yes, so yeah, we were just talking about how the sort of analog practical quality of Cronenberg's films, and the and I also love, I think I saw another film similar to this where they create a double, and then the double is supposed to be like taking your place in something like sacrificial,
like a clone kind of thing.
Yeah, like one man was sick and is like, so I like the idea of like who has more right, because it is the same person technically, you know. So it's like, so you're gonna kill the double, but the double is still you. You're still this viable person with feelings, and you know. So I don't know. There's something really creepy about that. Like who's entitled to the future?
But you have to wonder if the memories and the consciousness get transferred to, and if it doesn't, then it's just an empty shell that looks like you. And I don't know. There's probably a lot of questions like that. Like, you know, what do you owe it, even if it is an empty shell? That was one of the. I remember that was one of the big questions in the movie AI. I know it's robots instead of clones, but at the beginning of it, where they're talking about robots and like what do you owe this fake person
thing, right?
Yeah,
what do we owe them? You know, should they have rights? Should we feel compassion towards them, or is it like our dishwasher? You know, if the dishwasher stops working, we throw it out and we get a new dishwasher, and we don't get in trouble for that, for you know, pulling it out of the wall and throwing it in the garbage.
Yeah.
But if the dishwasher looked like me and talked and had a voice, even if it was artificial and programmed or a clone, then suddenly there's moral issues and ethical issues, and you start having to feel compassion for it.
Yeah.
And also, like, don't you get attached to inanimate objects? You know, it's like you get attached to your cars. It's just a machine. It doesn't have any feelings, but you know, it has a personality. Like we kind of infuse, I guess, what do they call that when you're giving human feelings and thoughts to
anthropomorphizing?
With animals.
Right.
With animals, I think we've been wrong the whole time on not doing that, because I think they're a lot more sentient than we want to admit, because we won't be able to enslave them. But anyway,
but anytime you feel like you've been through something with something, like cars especially, like, you know, you go through such fun times in your life with your car. Your car takes you to fun places, and you go pick up your friends, you have great conversations in the car. You also spent so much money on that car, and it means so much to you. You know, it becomes and when you look at the front of it, it's got the two headlights, and it looks like a little face looking at
the grill.
Smiling. That's true.
And that's true. When it's hard to get rid of a car, you know,
it is. You get attached.
Yeah, very true.
Hard to throw away your childhood toys that look like little people or whatever.
Yeah. So this is, imagine taking that to the nth degree, where it's like, not only is it, you know, it's not you, but you know, it is you. Like, how hard would that be? You know, it's like,
well, what's interesting,
you.
So you have that part, the cloning part, but then you have the part with the masks and all this other stuff. That's
home invasion thing. It looks like.
There's something else that's going on there that he's in some foreign country where I don't, you know, the rest of that's the cloning stuff is very familiar. We've seen that before.
Yeah,
right. Like, you know, it's like I think that Keanu Reeves did a movie where there was he cloned his family or something. I forgot the name of it, but because his family died in a auto accident, and he brought them all back, but they were off, you know, or something. It's called like Partners or something like that. Anyway, so I've seen that before, but the other part of it makes it interesting. That's
like, what are they doing with that? Like, and it almost seemed like people had made their clones, who then they would send out on these things to commit crimes, and then if they were executed, they didn't care because it wasn't them. It almost seemed like they were sending them in their steed.
Yeah,
but I don't know. You never know.
Like, if you want to give the government some money, we'll make a clone, and it will sit in for you in your execution. It's also that Black Mirror episode. It's another thing I think we're going to have to confront eventually, or maybe our offspring a few hundred years from now are going to have to confront things like this, because in that Black Mirror episode, it was the woman who the young couple, and the guy dies, you know, suddenly, and
Yeah.
she's so grief
That's right.
stricken that her friend says, well, there is this service that is a
Right.
it will send you texts based on his entire social media profile, and it will seem like him.
Yeah.
And then it progresses, and it's like, oh, now they offer an actual clone of him that will come
Yeah.
live with you, and it's like there's weird questions about that, you know.
And of course, it's never quite what you need or expect, you know. And then, you know,
And
going
again, it
back to
goes
the
back
film,
to talking about the film being, you know, the analog or digital. It's like
yeah,
we tend to accept reality more, you know.
Mhm.
And there's all those questions right now about AI art, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of my
Yeah.
artist friends who are really worried about that, and they're like, okay, this is basically a clone of a human artist, a digital virtual clone of a human creative force that's now creating artwork that we're all looking at
Yeah.
and going, wow, this is cool. But then you look at it and you're like, I feel like I can tell the difference. I mean,
it's not perfect yet, but the
Yeah.
scary part is how good it is in such a short amount of time.
And how
when
good it
will
can
be
get.
perfect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's
But
gonna
what I
get
think
there.
is cool too about the film, I love that Skarsgård is in this because he brings kind of this A-list huge star to this indie weird horror movie, and I love that he's taking those chances because somebody like Skarsgård, who's like, you know, Mr. Perfect, you know, movie star, even though he's been playing darker parts. I love that idea that he's going to put himself in there because his star power alone, I think, brings an aspect to the film that it wouldn't have with just a nobody.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
you're automatically familiar and you're rooting for him and you care, and who knows what
Right.
the hell that's going to go. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the cool thing. And also, you know, Mia Goth, who's always great. You know, she has
Yeah.
that little edgy, like she looks like she's really sweet, but not.
Her face can get kind of scary in a second. You
I
know,
love
she has
that.
yeah.
So well done. Yeah.
So
But
it
really
looks
also
cool.
a vibe to it that I detected Cronenbergian vibe of that sort of flatline acting style that
Yes.
he does. That's
Yeah.
that's very. I have a feeling I always felt like down the emotions.
Yeah.
Let's make this colder because
Yeah.
a
A little
lot
more
of
removed emotionally.
the
Yeah.
exteriors and things that you saw in Cronenberg's classic films, you know, he shot them in Canada where he lives. So everything looked gray and cold. There was a lot of dead trees and gray skies, and it really gave his movies a certain mood. And the actors, I think, kind of came across like that, especially when you watch something like Scanners from that era. And the main guy in that is, I used to think when I first saw that film, I thought, he's not a very good actor. But then the more I saw it, the more I really loved his style. And it works well because of what's going on in his mind. He's a scanner. He's getting a million inputs. And so there's a style to Cronenberg's, the actors in the films. There's a performance. And when I was watching this trailer, I was like, wow, there it is.
there it
sense
is.
that
Yeah.
in here.
It was in Possessor, and I think it's like for people that don't know Cronenberg, they go, oh, it can be a little off-putting in the sense like, oh, you know, I'm not connecting with these characters. I don't care about these characters. But if you know Cronenberg, it goes right into that lane of Cronenberg.
Yes.
And his son is right in that lane with him. So that's what's really exciting. So,
Yeah. And it's also cool because David Cronenberg, it's hard to talk about one without the other. I know that must be annoying to Brandon Croneneberg, but you know, David Cronenberg just had that huge success with Crimes of the Future, where he had that standing ovation at Cannes, and that was pretty great. So right on the heels of that, we have another film that's getting a lot of buzz because, you know, it's like, wow, okay, now everyone's aware of Cronenberg again. And they're like, oh, here comes his son who's doing another cool, but he has his own style. It's still his own. Like it's a little more retro and a little bit more gritty than even Cronenberg does. Cronenberg's kind of more almost plastic feeling and a weird sort of glossy grayness, but seeing Brandon Cronenberg brings in kind of a grittier, earthier feel to his stuff with it still has that remoteness you're talking about, but I don't know. It just looks, I loved Possessor. I thought it was such a cool, unique movie. So I'm hoping this one will be just as good.
Yeah.
Well, you grew up with that, you know. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, you know, David Cronenberg was probably an excellent dad, you know. But when you think about,
I can't imagine
the
that
idea of your dad making movies like Shivers and, you know, Existence and all these things and Videodrome, and you know, growing up as a kid watching your dad's output, and you know, maybe I don't know if his dad allowed him to watch the films or not. You know,
that'd be interesting to find out. I just watched some interviews with him. See, like, did you watch your dad's films? Do you know how messed up they were?
Yeah.
So,
I think they were probably heavily edited.
That's right.
Yeah. But that may have been just normal in their house, you know.
It may be normal. But, so if you guys have any weird stories to tell about your childhood, be sure and put them in the comments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you watch Cronenberg films when you were like 8? So you tell us what you thought of that.
So Infinity Pool comes out January 27th. I think we're kind of looking forward to that one. It has the possibility of being really interesting and creepy and fun and in that Cronenberg world, which we all
like it has
enjoy.
a lot of different ideas in it, like a lot of different threads to follow. There's the whole clone thing. There's the whole you know, when you talk about different types of horror, and there's one of those things is like travel horror, where you're in a foreign land and they have different rules or whatever. That whole idea, you know, the kind of Wicker Man vibe, you know, where it's like in this country, any crime, the punishment is death. Like, wow, what country is this?
It's like, don't fuck around when you're on vacation. You don't know what's going to happen.
Don't smuggle drugs, or, you know, anything like that.
Exactly.
Well,
all right. So see you next time.
Thanks for checking us out, and see you guys soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.